Hi, and welcome to part 3 of the CodeChat Literate Programming tutorial. Part 1 is just an overview of what literate programming is. Part 2 was basic restructured text. And now we're going to focus on part 3, basic Sphinx. What is Sphinx? To quote from the documentation, it's a tool that makes it easy to create intelligent and beautiful documentation. It adds a lot of features on top of restructured text, including the ability to link together many documents, like all the files in a program's source code, so that's really important. And it does so in a very beautiful way. For example, if we go back to the file from the previous tutorial, and if you haven't run through the previous tutorial, we're going to be using those same files, some unzipped CodeChat files. If you don't have those convenient, you can just run right up here and pull those files down quickly. Go ahead and grab those, and let's open a document. You'll recall from, again, that last video that we, for example, looked at a restructured text primer, talked about all the different kinds of markup, and one of the difficulties here is the results are rather plain, and we like to see something that's more beautiful, more connected, and more capable, and that's what Sphinx does. So to begin taking advantage of Sphinx, let's just go to our settings here. We're going to go down to the Sphinx option in that huge dialog box that comes up. Let's see if we can at least show part of that. The Sphinx option, we want to turn Sphinx on, and I'm going to just copy and paste that long project path that I had from earlier. That's the place where all my files stay. I'm going to click OK on that. And that'll turn Sphinx on and allow it to begin processing. And you'll notice immediately we have this file. The result is a lot prettier. The formatting is very nice and looks very professional. So that's the first thing that Sphinx does. For another illustration of some of the capabilities that Sphinx brings, let's go and take a look at the README. So here's our README file. Go ahead and let that render in just a moment. Sorry, not the README. We need to look at the index. Let's go look at the index. Here's where we stitch all these files together. So the index allows us to create something called a table of contents tree, a talk tree. And that's where I say everything inside the README file I'd like to put in here and organize it hierarchically. So here's the main title in README and all the subtitles in that README file. We've been looking at the restructured text tutorial, so there it is with the different categories. We're here in the basic Sphinx tutorial, and so on and so forth. So it allows me to create this hierarchy of nested documents. The third thing that Sphinx does is provides a number of powerful markup constructs which give you a lot more capabilities. I'll leave you to explore that on your own, but I do encourage you to read through that page. For right now, let's play around with creating our own Sphinx document. Of course, all the documentation you see here for CodeChat was generated using Sphinx as well. So let's play around with creating our own file. So let's just go and create a new file, and we'll save that with a typical .rst suffix, but this time we'll create it in some new folder. We'll call it temp Sphinx for now. Put it in a new folder, and I'll just call it demo. And now this is important, demo.rst, to specify to Enki that this should be rendered using restructured text. Now, right now, Sphinx is not turned on in this particular directory. We haven't pointed it there, but restructured text is, so I can still do all my usual markup and see things show up and that sort of thing. But if we want to use Sphinx, we need to tell Sphinx where the top of our hierarchy is. So we'll just go over here to the settings menu, and in that settings menu under Sphinx, we're going to change our path to that directory we just specified. In my case, I put it here in this temp Sphinx off my download directory, and I'm going to press OK. It'll ask us, hey, you're missing a couple template files. Do you want those? Yes, I do. It'll throw in all the templates, and it'll allow us to immediately start creating documentation. Now, one thing we can do is we just take a look at that. Now we're in our temp, and it's created an index for us. It's got a little table of contents tree. And one thing that's missing here is it doesn't know what files are in your project. So let's go ahead and add demo.rst. And then if we switch back to demo and put in a little heading here, we'll just put in a heading saying this is our demo. Then if we go and look at our, notice that that heading shows up It's part of our table of contents tree, and we're off and running. At this point, you can go and play with Sphinx and take advantage of some of the advanced capabilities there and create some beautiful documents. Next step is we're going to start applying these things to literate programming. I encourage you to join me for the next part of the tutorial.